Do you want to design editable templates in Canva that don't feel generic or have the same standard free fonts? In this video, I'm going to show you how I create unique looking templates with custom typography, glyphs and elements that you can't find in Canva's standard library, so your templates will stand out. So the annoying thing about creating templates in Canva or other programs such as Template or Coral is that often you find a really great font that would work really well with your idea, but you're often not allowed to upload them to a third-party platform such as Canva due to the licensing restrictions. So I'm going to show you how I use vector software to import unique designs into my templates, and they can make your templates stand out from others when you're selling them on places like Etsy. So I'm going to show you my screen and we'll get into the how to do this. So once you're in Canva, you will go to create in the top left hand corner and you would create a new template, so a new document. I'm going to make this 6 by 4 inches for this tutorial. I had a bit of an idea that because it's almost Halloween, I'm going to do a Halloween themed template, and I'm not going to do an invitation template like the other one that I did further earlier on in my channel. I'm going to make this one like a business marketing template, maybe something that you would put in as a thank you card if you were a business, so somebody would buy this, and it's going to be kind of Halloween themed. So I've set up this one earlier, so I'm going to make it 6 by 4 inches because that's a really good size to fit 4 on a page. So I've got one already done here, and then we're going to go straight into the vector software to create the typography, which is going to be the center theme of this template. So I'm using Adobe Illustrator for this tutorial. If you don't have Adobe Illustrator, then don't worry, this is a free one called Inkscape. I will link it down below. There's also Affinity. They do a version where you just pay once and you can keep the software. I think it's about £50. Anyway, so we're going to come into Illustrator and I'm going to create a new file, and I'm going to make this as well 6 by 4 inches. I'm going to make it CMYK, which is for print, and I'm also going to do it high resolution so that they can print it and have it printed. So I'm going to create that on here. Now the first place I look for my fonts is some of the marketplaces. One of the best ones is Creative Fabrica, because they do sort of the best deal. There are other marketplaces that you can go and have a look, but Creative Fabrica do like a membership where it's a few pounds a month. So I'm going to click on, with a font, the little T here, I'm going to click on the document and I'm going to create a slogan, "Stay Spooky." Actually, I'm going to do it separately, just so I can place it where I want to. So I've just copied and pasted that. So Command and C, Command and V to copy and paste. Stay Spooky. And I'm going to go in and have a look because I did download a font from Creative Fabrica earlier on today, and I think it was called something like Spooky Halloween. There we go. Yeah, Spooky Halloween. So to change your fonts, you can go have a look for your window and have a look for character, and it should be up here. You should be able to find the toolbar for character, and all of your fonts would be in here. You can also find it at the top. If you click on your font, you can have a look at the top character, and you can just change your fonts on there as well. Really simple. So I'm just going to put that back into there because I like it all nice and neat. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to have a quick play around with the glyphs on this font. So I'm going to place it where I think it looks okay, and I'm just going to make it look a little bit unique. So we're going to highlight the S's, and I'm going to come down to glyphs on the right toolbar at the bottom here. I'm just going to have a look and see if there's any alternative for the letters in these glyphs. So I'm going to click on the S, this big S, capital S, and I'm going to do the same. I'm working without a mouse today, so it's really difficult to use this keypad. Right, so then I'm going to do the same with a Y. I'm just going to have a look, see if we can find a nice decorative Y on our glyph panel. So there we go. So that looks quite kind of funky. And then I'm going to have a look at the, I don't want to overdo it, because sometimes you can kind of overdo it with the fancy letters with a glyph. So I'm just going to have a look at the K and see if I can do something similar on there. And it's quite a funky looking K on there. So I quite like that. So I'm going to move this into the middle. I'm just going to move this bottom one along a little bit. I'm just going to group it, and I'm going to make it bigger. So if I just click on the, I've grouped that together basically, Control and G or Command and G, or you can just right click and it'll say group in there. And then if you just click on the corner point, hold the shift key down, and you can actually make this bigger. And I'm going to move it back to the middle, and then I'm just going to right click. Actually, I'm going to ungroup it first. And I'm going to right click and create outlines. I'm going to do the same on the top one, create outlines. So that's now not a font anymore. It's a vector design. So you can actually move this around. So you can use, if you click on the arrow at the top here, on the left hand side, this is actually the selection tool. So you can click and you can move these points. You can click on these points and move them wherever you want. So you can actually adjust if you don't quite like where the glyphs land, say if it's too close to the O or if that's too close to the A, you can actually move these around and change it however you like. So that's really handy to do. So I'm going to create like a funky outline. So I'm going to group this together. So again, I'm going to right click and group, or Command and G or Control and G to group. You can also go up to Object, and the group is here, so you can group it here. And then I'm going to copy it. So I'm just going to copy and then paste. I'm going to zoom out a bit so I can see what I'm doing. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this, I want this to be an outline. So to be an outline, it has to be bigger than the original. So I'm going to come up to Object, and I'm going to Offset Path. So you can see it creates like an outline around the original. But it's a bit too big, so I'm going to make this a little bit smaller. So it's in inches because our document's in inches, so it's a bit crazy. You can change that, but we'll stick with it at the minute. So 0.05. Let's see what that looks like. That's a bit better. I'm going to change that to 7. Yeah, I think I'm going to have it 0.08. And that's kind of the size I'm looking for the outline for our text. I'm going to OK that. And then you can ungroup it, and you can delete, ungroup that, and you can delete the one on the inside. Or what you can do is you can just highlight it all, and you can come to the Pathfinder, and you can actually just merge it all together. So that literally just merges the whole thing. But I'm going to do it manually. I'm just going to delete all of these middle bits. Ungroup that. Just delete all those, and then I'm going to group this together. Actually, I'm going to merge it together. This basically just takes the path and connects it all. So you want this one here, which would connect it all together. And then I'm going to switch, so it's a black outline with a white center. So I'm going to click. If you have a look here where I'm changing the colors, this is the fill color here, and the one on the outside is the stroke. So you can actually switch by just clicking the arrow, and that will switch the outline to the stroke. And then I'm going to click in the fill color. So you just double click, and you can actually make this white. So solid white, or you can make it obviously any colour you want to, but I'm going to make it white. And I'm going to send this to the back of our original text. I'm going to right click, arrange, and I'm going to send it to the back. And because that's all grouped together, I'm going to highlight all of it, and I'm going to come up to the top where it says align, and I'm going to align it. So I'm going to align it in the middle, horizontally and vertically, and it will bring it all together. So I'm going to bring that back down. And then the last thing I'm going to do, no, actually I don't think I'm going to add it. You can add a shadow if you wanted to. I'm going to make this line a little bit thicker. I don't know, what do you think? Maybe make it 1.5 point. Yeah. So you could add a shadow, that would give it a bit more of an effect. So you can come to stylize, effect, stylize, drop shadow. Again, just play about with this. I don't like the blur. And that's too thick. So you could add a bit of a shadow if you wanted. I'm not going to, I think that looks okay. So I'm just going to group this together, make it a little bit bigger, just and that's our kind of stylized text for our template, our spooky, stay spooky template. I'm going to add some other elements on here as well. I'm going to add maybe some stars just around the outside edge. So to do this, we're going to use the pen tool, and I'm going to click on the menu bar here. If you don't see a menu bar, you can actually find it at the top here on window, and you just come to obviously all your menu bars and toolbars are here, so you can actually just make sure that it's here. I'm going to click on the pen tool, and this is like a freehand drawing tool in Illustrator. So I'm just going to zoom in, and I'm going to do a really basic sort of star shape. It might look really awful because I'm going to do it really quick. So what you do is you click where you want to start your shape or your element, and then you will basically just trace the path going along. And if you hold the pen, you can obviously have one of these what do they call them, like anchor points, which will create like curvature and different shapes. So that's basically how you do it. I'm just going to try again because that was really awful. So I'm just going to make a really basic sort of star shape, and then you can tidy it up when you've, oh, I don't mean to do that. You can tidy it up at the end. So what I tend to do is highlight that, come to stroke, and I'm just going to change the corners to rounded, so it gets rid of that awful kind of pointy whatever it is. I'm just going to tidy it up, so I'm going to straighten the ends. So yeah, this is basically how I do my templates. I just play around, I create. I mean, you can obviously add your own elements, not just fonts. So you can draw your own elements, even if you draw them sort of sketches on paper. You can scan them in and then pull them into Illustrator or another vector program, and you just outline them. Or you can actually trace within Illustrator as well. There's a tool where you can trace around your own drawings, so it just gives your templates a little bit of something different. And I'm going to outline this as well, so I'm going to do exactly the same thing: object, path, offset. I'm going to make it a bit smaller because that's too much. Get rid of that. Right click, send that to the back, and then align these two together. Click on align. So then you could do the same thing, but instead of having a white star, I'm going to do some with a black. Forgot about that. you always have to outline. If you're going to do a stroke, you always have to outline it before. So object, outline stroke, and then you can group it together and you can make it smaller without the line looking absolutely horrendous. So again, I'm going to, actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy and paste this before I do that. Edit. Oh no, I didn't want to do that. Just ignore me, I'm just doing random stuff. Outline stroke, group it together. So I'm going to, because I'm not using a mouse, it's really difficult to work. So I'm going to do exactly the same thing, but I'm going to change that. Oh. Get rid of, I don't like these pointy ends. So what you can actually do is click, and if you have a look on the ends of the star, there's like these little round circles. You can pull that in and it'll round off the ends. Should do it on all 4 points, which it has. And again, go into outline stroke, group that together. I'm going to make this one smaller, and you can just decorate it however you like, you know, little stars. I was going to put a couple down here, maybe one up here, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to save this. I'm going to export it as, so come to file and export, and I'm going to export this not as a PNG. I mean, you can export it as a PNG with obviously if you're going to do that, you have to make sure it's transparent. I'll show you how you do it as a PNG anyway. So I'm going to put stay spooky test, I'll put it in downloads. I'll save it as a PNG, so it'll give you the option for the background color. Make sure it's transparent, and it's at 300 ppi or DPI, which is high resolution. But I'm not going to save it as a PNG. I'm actually going to save it, export, try again, export as an SVG, because if you export this as an SVG file, it's still a vector, so it's still editable, and you can upload SVG files to Canva. And it also means that if you're selling this as a template, obviously your customer, if somebody buys this from you, they cannot edit this text, but they can edit the color if it's an SVG file. So it's really handy. So I've actually done this earlier on, so I'm going to pull this into Canva now. So obviously all you would do is you would upload your file. There we go. So I've done this one earlier, so I'm going to click on there and put it onto the page and just center it, and then you can just decorate your template however you want. So this is going to be a double-sided template, so I always center things by eye. So obviously that was pulling me, when you drag something onto Canva, it gives you an idea of where the center is. You can see the red lines there, it clicks into the red lines, but that looks really off center. So I'm going to actually move it. Always go by eye, because what it's doing, it's lining up where the outermost edges are in the center, but the text is still off center. So I'm just going to do it by eye. So we're going to decorate this, so you can just come to elements and you can add some. I'll just quickly demonstrate as well. If you click on your design that you've just uploaded and you click on the colors, you can actually adjust the colors here. So you can make that blue, you can make the white orange. So that's why it's really handy to upload. I mean, I wouldn't do it that color, but your buyer, if someone's buying this template, they may want to do it with their colors of their design. Going to come up to elements, corners. I mean, you could do all sorts of different designs just to sort of, you could just keep it like that if you wanted to. but I found this squiggly corners file that I wanted. So I'm going to click on here as well and make sure that you're clicking on the free. Even if you have Canva Pro, which I think you do need Canva Pro to do the templates. Yeah, something like that, like squiggly. Here we go. You still, I wouldn't recommend using paid elements, because if somebody buys your template, they can't edit it unless they have the pro version of Canva. So yeah, I'm just going to stick some squiggly corners on onto the edges, make that a bit smaller. And then I've already done this, so I'm just going to show you the template that I did earlier so you can see how it might look, sort of the final template. So I've got my Stay Spooky and my kind of squiggly spooky corners, and then all I've done on the back is, you can obviously, all of this is editable. I've just found a text, a typeface within Canva that looks kind of similar. I think it's called Cherry Bomb 1, this one, but it looks kind of similar, so it's supposed to kind of match the font that you've used, typeface. And then I've just added some, general text. Obviously they can edit all of this text, and then I've pulled the stars, so I've just literally clicked on this. This is just for speed purposes, and I've just grabbed the stars and added them on so it pulls the same design onto the back. And these, you can just go into the elements and find like Facebook icon, just find one that's free. Obviously this one's free. You can change the colour to whatever colour you want. So I've just done these little icons, and this would be, one example of a template that looks a little bit different that you can use. And then you would just save this as a template, get a link, which I'll show you how to do in a minute, but I just wanted to show you some other things that you can do. So I've done a different background here. I think this was actually in the Canva elements, so I just went into repeating patterns, I think, and this was one of the free Canva elements in the back of this. So this is editable, you can actually edit the colours and everything. And then this bit here, this frame, I created this in Illustrator. So exactly the same way I did, I just new 6x4, again it's the same size, and I just used the pen tool to kind of create an outline. So you can just do that, and then obviously when you're finished you can just go in. I'll just quickly do it. Obviously that's it looks a right mess. You can quickly go in and you can edit all these. You can, if you right click on the pen, you can actually add anchor points, delete anchor points, or you can create the anchor points as well, the angles, so you can pivot them and do that. So if I wanted to delete one, if I wanted to delete that one, I could just click on it and delete. If I wanted to add an anchor point, you can actually just add it and delete it by clicking on the pen wherever the anchor point is. So again, I think I did that with a white fill, a black outline, and I made the outline, I think it might have been 2 point or 3 point, I'm not sure. And again, I just saved it as, I think I saved this as a PNG, but you can save it as an SVG exactly the same way. And again, I just pulled this into Canva, this one here. So there's loads of different ways you can create your design. So again, you can create the back of it. So this is just some ways that I use to make my templates look a little bit different. So they stand out and they're not generic. It's not the same old Canva fonts and the same old designs. And it's a really good way of bringing elements into your designs that aren't necessarily found, on Canva, because some, like you say, some of these marketplaces, you cannot just upload their fonts and designs. And again, you can hand draw your own elements in Canva. Really quick tip before I leave you is, if I want, say for example, I wanted to draw some leaves and I wanted to pull these into Canva, I would go to one of these free image, so these Pexels, Pixabay, I think Unsplash, and I would just type in leaf. I think I'd make sure it's a free public domain image, and then I would download. That's a nice one, so we'll download that one, and then I would place this into this is just a really quick way of doing it. If you have something like Procreate, you can draw your own, but if not, this is a really quick way of drawing things. So that's absolutely massive, so we don't need it that big. So I'm going to click on the corner, hold the shift key down. If you don't hold the shift key down, it will distort the image, so just so you know. And then you can lock this image, so go to Object, Lock Selection, and then you can just use your pen tool and draw around it. So yeah, you literally just draw around the leaf, adding whatever details you want. And you know it's a free image. Again, I would make the middle, the fill invisible, so you can actually see what you're doing. And again, that's a quick way of bringing elements into your design. So if you want some nice leaves or something like that, then you could do that, absolutely. So to save your template, you would come up to Share, and you would click on Template Link, and it would give you a template. So you create template link, and then you just copy that, and then you would paste that into another document. I think if you have a look on my other video, I'll link it in the description. It will show you how to create a link share. I think I have a free one as well on Gumroad, which I'll put in the description. So there's a free link share that you can actually paste your link in to a PDF file that you can create. So your customer would click the link, and if they click that link, I'm just going to paste the link in here. So I'm going to click on here and I'll show you what happens. So it literally just, your customer would click on that link, it would bring them to here, and they would click on Edit Template, and then it would save them a copy within their Canva account. So that's all they would do. So you would need to just pass that link on to your customer somehow. So I usually put it into another document which I download as a PDF. Again, I will link the video which shows you how to do that below in the description box. And that's how I do my templates. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope it's made sense. I tend to, because I've been doing this for so long, I tend to get carried away kind of doing my stuff without realizing that some people aren't always familiar with the software, so I do apologize. And I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, please subscribe to the channel. I'm hoping to put some more kind of creative videos on, and I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.